Welcome back to Football Pundits, everyone. And this is another episode about Fantasy Premier League. Game week one is just around the corner. Couple of days to go. We have released two other episodes in the past where we cover our budget picks and our possible drafts. We're going to pretty much narrow down our team for the first game week in this episode. We'll also cover the new additions to the FPL player list, which might be messing with you in terms of the last team selection, namely James Rodriguez and those players. We'll also try to give you a highlight about which teams we think would be the best suited in terms of fixtures to have in your team. And in the end, we'll show you our drafts, which will 90% be our teams going into the very first game week. So, Kern, I'm going to start it off with you straight up. Who do you think from these new additions are the ones who've tempted you a little bit to consider?
Yeah, there's obviously been a lot of movement in incomings and outgoings. And for me, it's not just about the specific player that's come in or moved to different clubs. It's about how he changes the dynamics of A, the club he was at, if he was in the Premier League, and B, the club he's going to. Right? Does he increase their clean sheet potential? Does he increase their goal scorers supply and stuff like that? Obviously, one of the standout picks is James Rodriguez. Great talent, obviously. Played for the best teams in the world. So we can see him starting from right now the mid-7 bracket, but going up to probably a premium midfield or a higher premium midfield. So say somewhere close to 9 towards the end of the season. I can easily see him ending up there.
For me, I don't think he features right now, right? Even for you or me, he's not tempted me enough to make any drastic changes. Like you said, he's good to double down on your asset, who you already have in your team.
Yeah. So, I know we're going to get to specific teams eventually, but I'm not bringing James Rodriguez in yet. One to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. So what about now your likes of Newcastle? Fraser and Callum Wilson, a duo who were on fire 2 seasons back in the Premier League. They have joined Newcastle. Good pricing again. Fraser at 6.0, Callum Wilson 6.5. Again, they're not tempted me enough to make changes for my very first game week. But I might be keeping an eye on them if my team's not doing too well to get them in maybe second or third game week. Newcastle have decent fixtures. But again, would that kind of make you double down on Saint Maximin? Because you're like, you know what, maybe that's going to spur him on. He's going to have more players around him to help him be a better player. And Matt Ritchie is injured mostly for the first 2 game weeks.
Hey, this is where, in fact, it's sort of putting me off Saint Maximin a bit. Just in the sense that, how in the last episode we discussed the talisman, right? Which player will go out and get the most points for a team? Saint Maximin for me was the easy pick in the Newcastle team. Now no longer he is that, right? Like now I'm seeing Callum Wilson getting at the end of those balls where Saint Maximin might have been. So that's sort of, it's the other way for me. While yes, it'll be great in terms of general Newcastle scoring more goals and a wider set of assets available, Saint Maximin's individual appeal has weirdly enough gone down for me because there's 2 additions, not just 1 addition that's come into there, 2 very good additions. But great pricing for both of them. Like Wilson has been an FPL cult hero, especially in that price bracket. I think that's one that I'm going to keep an eye out for. Mitrovic fails to deliver. A 0.5 jump to Wilson might not be a bad one.
That's right, because they also made a signing of Jeff Hendrick. Jeff Hendrick was doing enough at that 5.0 bracket, even at Burnley, right? So they've made value signings. So that does actually kind of worried me. That kind of worried me yesterday. But why I'm not too worried about my very first, my game week plan for, let's say, the first 3 or 4 game weeks, till maybe I have to use my wild card. Or that's how I think we all might have to with COVID coming in and, players missing out and quarantine. I'm okay with that because you have to remember that Fraser and Callum Wilson both were injured for long parts of last season. They aren't in the best form coming in. I don't know if Steve Bruce would risk taking them in the side in the start, right? But you're right. It does definitely give me something to think about, maybe in terms of my thoughts about Matt Ritchie and Saint Maximin. But yeah, moving on to the players now that you think should feature in your side. And by players, I mean the ones who have better fixtures, the players who have good fixtures coming in, namely Spurs, Wolves, Leicester, and if I'm not mistaken, even Southampton, right? Let's start off with Wolves first, and then we link it up to Tottenham thanks to Matt Doherty. Vinagre might be on his way out. There are rumors going around that has honestly unsettled a few managers, but he was a 4.5 midfielder. There are 4.5 midfielders out there. For example, I don't have Kyle Walker-Peters in my team. I might then be wary about doubling down on McCarthy, Kyle Walker-Peters, but if I don't have an option, I'm just happy to do it. It's not a bad, bench player maybe, right? What do you think? Are you too worried about that?
No, man. As I said last week, I kept harping on it. Southampton have great fixtures, great form. If we're taking form from the close season into consideration, which most of us are, even just generally looking at how Premier League teams are going to perform, that is the criteria we're taking into this.
Yep.
So I think Southampton assets are a great pick. I have just sort of hedged my bets there. So I've done one. I've not done Kyle Walker-Peters as well. What I've done is I've gone McCarthy in goal and then Lamptey. So I've done one Brighton, one Southampton. I'm sort of hedging my bets like that. But as you said with Wolves, if Vinagre doesn't happen, which is just put such a big headache now, as I said, right? Like just these movements happening every year just put such a headache. If Vinagre doesn't happen, then maybe Kyle Walker-Peters comes in as his replacement and that double down on Southampton then goes ahead.
And also, a lot of managers have not made up their mind about Justin. He's again a good option there as well. He's already in my team. So I think I'm very okay. I'm not too bothered by it, but something to keep an eye on. Now moving on from this, right? Because we have seen Adama Traore and Raul Jimenez. They've been prolific. They've got you those points, but Adama doesn't get you those points, right? And Jimenez needs that consistent delivery. So would you be taking a punt, let's say, with Jimenez in your team? I am not convinced yet for me.
No, the thing is, so Wolves on paper, definitely a great option because they don't do another Europa League this time, right? And last year we saw the start was very slow because of that, but now they can go all guns blazing. But with no Doherty there, I'm a little concerned. I'm going to wait a couple of weeks and see who they're going to sign, especially because in that Jimenez bracket, there's so many good options available. So it's just not convincing me. In fact, where we were discussing Everton earlier, with James Rodriguez coming in, Dominic Calvert-Lewin suddenly looks like a great option because the supply to him is going to increase. He obviously had great stats in terms of, just shots and his positioning and all of those things. He was winning the eye test during the close season for Everton. So I'm going to look at those options instead, and I'm going to wait out a couple of weeks before I jump on Jimenez. And the problem with Traore for me is he doesn't start every game.
Yeah, and they also made a record signing of Fabio Silva, I think, it's about 30 million pounds. Yeah. And he's at a relatively cheap point as well. So interesting to see how those Wolves asset fix in, because I think Fabio Silva was around 5.5 or 5 when I last checked. And if he is a regular starter, you never know. I remember Diego Jota has been shifted to midfield this year. So in terms of assets, you do have enough to play around with Wolves' asset as well, right? It's not really a bad option as a team to look at with favorable fixtures in the first 4 game weeks. That is, like if I had to look it out, they are playing Sheffield United. They're playing City in the second game week, which is City's first game week for them. Then they have West Ham, and then they have Fulham. Then they have Leeds, Newcastle, Crystal Palace. I know I said I'll talk about the first 4 game weeks, but I'm just laying it out. They have good fixtures. So interesting to see that, keeping that in mind, which is why I think, let's say if even Vinagre goes out, I might just take that 0.5 and try to take to Ruben Says. Had him in my team all of last year, did me great, right? And 5 into a Wolves defense, easy. Moving on to Spurs now, because Doherty is not there, and Doherty moves to Spurs. Spurs look more solid. Jose Mourinho's got a whole preseason with them, and he's ironed it out of the squad. Doherty, for him, the way everyone who's watched the documentary All or Nothing, you can see Doherty actually being way more advanced like Aurier was towards the end of last season, right? 6.0 is expensive, but could give you those returns.
Yeah, he definitely can. My contention is I don't see myself spending that much money in defense because I have Trent. I think everyone's going to have either one of Trent or Robbo or Van Dijk. Right? So after that, spending on a second, you don't have any Liverpool defender. Okay, so that's a bold pick there. So that's the thing. So if you're going for a premium defender and you're not going Liverpool, then Doherty definitely offers. After them, Doherty would be my pick after them because City don't really offer a definite pick in terms of someone who doesn't get injured, no rotation, stuff like that. United don't play the first week. City don't play the first week either, right? So in terms of that, a Jose Mourinho team with an attacking right back who's given points in FPL, definite pick. So in that sense, Doherty seems like a great pick if you don't have another premium defender in your team.
So it's basically someone like me who somehow is already with two Spurs assets. Moving on to Dele Alli, Son, and then I'll talk about Harry Kane. Son again in the preseason, you've seen him going left, sticking to the byline. Dele Alli fit again. I'm not too worried though about either. Dele Alli is great to have on your side, also be sticking in form. Good, he's been very good under Mourinho since he came. Injuries again curtailed him a little bit. Son has been prolific for Spurs 2 seasons now, even better and all-rounder under Mourinho, right? 8.5 Dele Alli, if I'm not mistaken, and Son at 9. Son is in my team, and I think I'm going to keep him in my team for sure. Would you risk, not risk, if I had to say do a toss up between my next player I was going to talk about in the end, but I might just have to throw his name in right now. Havertz at 8.5. Tempting. And Havertz looks like he's going to start.
Yeah, so Ali is at 8 and Son is at 9.
8.
And then Havertz sort of cuts the gap between them.
Right.
So while Spurs fixtures are obviously brilliant in the Premier League, we also need to again remember that they are playing Thursday, Sunday for the first 4 weeks. Their fixtures are completely congested. And while Spurs did get the points and they scored a couple of goals, their stats in general weren't, their attacking stats towards the end of last season weren't that great. Right? If we saw the goals that Kane was getting, it was in the 91st minute on a break, 1-on-1. And before that, he'd be missing throughout the game and he'd barely have any shots. That's the kind of game Spurs are playing out. So while it's a big risk not having Spurs assets, it is where I am right now, because I just think at that price point, there's a lot better value found elsewhere, as you said, with Havertz.
Havertz, because Chelsea have, Brighton, Liverpool, West Brom, Crystal Palace for the first 4 games. Apart from the Liverpool one, and there's no reason to assume with a side with like 5 new signings that they won't be, energized to maybe take on Liverpool. They do have the fixtures to back them. And I'm going to talk about Ziyech as well. He's not sure if Ziyech and Pulisic are fit for the first game week. Even more impetus for you to maybe put Havertz in at 8.5 and then risk not having him and him scoring goals and going up quickly, right? What about Timo Werner?
Definite, dude. For me, at least, definite. He was one of the first names that I was going to bring in. He's already scored for Chelsea in preseason. Looks like he's going to start and he's going to get supply left, right, and center. I think he can very easily have a massive season and probably be one of the top forward goal scorers this season. At least that's how I see it. And he's in my team right from the get-go.
So I have Werner in my team right now and Harry Kane, 9.5, 10.5. And like Kern said, that's only possible because I am not taking any premium defender. It's a risk I'm kind of still willing to take, I think, the way it's going for the first game week. I don't want to use a wild card early, but I anticipate with the international break coming in, these COVID bubbles being broken, that there might be so much going on. Most managers might have to use it. Let's see. I don't know. It's a risk I'm going to take. Kane hasn't been looking too good again. Even for England, didn't look the best. So I'm a little worried now keeping Kane in my side at 10.5 when I could just downgrade that to maybe getting an Anthony Martial into my team for game week 2 and play maybe with Mitrovic in my lineup and take that risk of playing 4 defenders, right? Just about get a starting 11 out. If I had to be honest, and if you could pick between Harry Kane and Werner, and it's not because of the 1 point difference, 1 million difference in the pricing. I believe just in the run that they could have, I think Werner is the safer bet for now. And if you were considering going for a Spurs asset, keep midfield as Son or Dele Alli would be the better picks there. We will now, let's just get into our draft teams. We'll first show up the teams that we had in our last episode, which was last week, with considering all our budget picks and everything else. And then we move on to what changes we've made, keeping the first game week in mind, maybe the possible addition of new players being in quarantine, Manchester United and Man City not being part of the first game week, and our game week strategy for the first 4 game weeks. So these are our teams that will be going into game week 1. Kern, straight off with you. You made a few changes, I can see. So have I. Why have you made those changes? And what are the possible changes you see yourself making before the deadline on Saturday, which, remember, guys, is 90 minutes before the game week starts, before the first fixture, not 60.
Yeah, so I brought in Salah for Bruno. And the main reason was just, why keep a premium on the bench who doesn't have a fixture where Salah can easily get me so many points in that first game week, right? Leeds at home, just I know it just made complete sense. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. I can just make a free transfer the next week if I want to. The other change that I have made is I've gotten Sander Berge for Souček, because Souček's fixtures weren't that great. Sander Berge had a decent enough preseason, but now there's a yellow flag on him, so I'm going to have to reconsider that by the end of things. The changes now that I'm looking at and how the preseason minutes have affected this, and even international minutes have affected this, is now I am strongly considering a De Bruyne, a Martial in my team instead of Bruno, where I was always concerned that, just like I'm going to have Bruno in my team throughout the season, it just seems crazy to not have Martial with the form he's in. So I think what might happen eventually in this team, Annie, over the next couple of weeks is Aubameyang will come down to De Bruyne. That saves me a 0.5. I already have 0.5 in the bank. And that 1 will get added to Ings and I'll upgrade that to Martial. That's my plan currently. Let's see how that goes. Last week I was very convinced with my team, but it's just changed completely over the week with all these transfers and everything happening. Vinagre is going to be something that I'm going to look at till the last second. And obviously, along with him, I'm also going to keep an eye out for Everton defensive assets. With Allen coming in, he might shore up the Everton defense along with the other signings. Ancelotti, the Italian in him, I think will want to shore up the back in general. So I'm going to look out for Everton defensive assets in this team.
Yeah, so I'll firstly take you through the changes I have made, right? I have taken Aubameyang in for De Bruyne. I was considering keeping De Bruyne in my side from the first game week. I was okay playing it around. I feel that, like you mentioned, I can maybe make that change next week by taking one free transfer. I have made a straight swap hence for Saka and Saint Maximin to give me another fixture I want to cover. Saint Maximin is a good attacking prospect at 5.5. Don't want to cover that too much. I've taken Souček out for Anguissa to get me that extra 0.5, which has enabled me to make the Aubameyang and KDB switch. If you can also see that I have taken a straight swap of Mitrovic and Adams. Southampton fixture that we said about Kyle, Walker-Peters and McCarthy have a good run of fixtures. Che Adams did look like he is in a goal scoring form towards the end of last season. Does look like he's going to be a starter in form. Definitely the 2 million I'll be saving over Danny Ings 2.5 is worth it for me the way I see it for now. And Mitrovic is playing Arsenal, right? So I thought Crystal Palace a better fixture with them only having 4 fit defenders, right? On a change I do see myself making to add things up or spice it around would be downgrading Ryan to a 4.0 keeper who might not be starting just like you. That gets me another 0.5 in somehow. That 0.5 could go towards maybe upgrading, my midfielder, keeping that 0.5 in the bank to, let's say, take Son out for next game week, right? For example, Kane for me, someone I'm not very convinced about now. I told you I could downgrade a Kane this week itself to maybe a Richarlison at 8. Not only would that save me 2.5, I can add that 2.5 to Son and maybe upgrade that to
whoever.
I can upgrade that. Yeah, I can move that up to City asset. I can even take out Saint Maximin, try to get in Ziyech at maybe 8. Yeah. I want to keep that wriggle room. So even if Kane does end up scoring again, Everton, which I expect a very tight game again, like we saw just at the end of the league season, right? So I'm happy to maybe not have Harry Kane in my side. Mitchell is someone who I put in my team only because I wanted to take a 4 million player with so many injuries coming in and COVID coming in and players might miss out last minute. Mitchell is a starter for now. But if I had to choose, I might just keep Ferguson in there because Ferguson will be the regular starter once he's fit, while Mitchell will make way for Van Aanholt the moment Van Aanholt is fit, right? So not someone to have in your team, but 4.2 defender, won't speak too much about him. So yeah, that's a change I think I'm going to see myself making. Werner will be staying there. Either I'll downgrade Kane for Martial, have Martial in my team from now and go ahead with a 4-4-2. Don't prefer that either, but 4-4-2 should be fine. Or take Kane out, get Richarlison in and keep that money in the bank.
Yeah, any one of the things that I am just scared about in my team is the lack of Spurs assets. Their fixtures are brilliant. They under Mourinho, they were the fourth best team in the league. Uh, so that's my scare in my team, just not having Spurs assets. But I honestly can't see where I can fit them. Right, I've tried to think about it because after this week, like eventually I'm going to bring in City and United assets, and I'm not going to
Right.
say pick Spurs assets over them, right? But that is one that could easily backfire. So
No,
yeah.
but one thing to keep in mind though, Kern, is to quell your doubts and anybody else's doubts, right? Havertz 8.5, Ziyech 8, Pulisic 8.5, again, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
So
I think.
you
Yeah.
have Martial at 9. You have, okay, Bruno Fernandes is 10.5 expensive. But if Salah has looked patchy like he has in preseason, 12 to 10.5 downgrade it gets you so many other options, right? You can upgrade your strikers, right? So United and Chelsea assets again are too well priced to ignore. In fact, the one United asset I might ignore honestly would be Rashford at midfield. I feel there's still more value considering Mason Greenwood. Let's see how United add up on the right wing or not than add Rashford at 9 right now. I feel Marshall, Bruno, and Greenwood are better assets to look at. And let's see how Donny van de Beek fits into the side, right? So, guys, if you are, I think, thinking about, changing it up and maybe not taking Mo Salah in your team at all, or maybe Aubameyang, I would say Aubameyang should be in your team. It's okay to maybe not have Mo Salah or even Son and keeping in a Havertz at 8.5. Uh, Maybe getting in KDB in your team and not having Salah and keeping KDB for next game. Those are the risks you can take right now for the first 3-4 game weeks. You can still make those wild, crazy minus points right now and not maybe game week 17, 18, 19, 20, right? That's when you might just make too many panicky changes because you've fallen too far behind. Something that happened to me 2 seasons back, and I kind of went downward from there, right? So I'm telling you with personal experience. Don't
So
let COVID.
I'm going to go the complete opposite way. So clearly, we manage in two different ways. So I'm guessing if there's a manager listening to you who's getting very scared, I'm a manager who hates taking minuses. I hate it. I probably took one -4 last season and probably one the season before that. Like I do not take minuses at all, which is probably not the best approach, but I do know there's managers out there. There's a manager, I think FPL Michael, who's finished 8 times in the top 10K in the last 10 seasons, and he does not take minuses like me. So it was great to see having people like him.
No, I
So
definitely think that's a good approach because you have finished in our top of our mini league twice already.
yeah,
But all I'm saying is it's just the season that we have. COVID, quarantines, players injured already, international breaks coming in, right? You can't let those things affect your thinking too much. Just plan like you would plan a normal FPL season. Don't think that I have to suddenly put in too many, heavy player on my bench. Instead of having a 4-point defender, I should keep a 5. That's not going to eventually help you in the long run either. You're going to miss out on assets giving you regular points in your team, right? So don't panic is all I'm trying to say. You can take those minus points right now, but I was coming to Kern's point. It's not wise to take minus points every game week. Minus 4 is not something you recommend. That's not what you should do. You can take those in the first couple of game weeks only, and you can easily let those balance off or pay off later on. But yeah, that should be your first 3 or 4 game week plan. That's about it.
yeah, I think after the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, my team might look completely different to this one. Might be a couple minus. So when it comes to minuses, right, with all the reading that I've done leading up to the season, thinking is it an approach that I should be taking? It seems to work for a lot of managers who finish top of the league and stuff like that. It's try and calculate the payoff. Don't do it for the heck of it. So, for example, why I got in Salah for Bruno this week was that if instead they probably be Sander Burge playing, right? Salah can easily get me those 8-10 points over what playing Burge would get me. So then that 4 I'm happy to take. So when you're planning your -4s, as you said, it needs to be planned and not just panic and do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just sort of plan it out. I think it's as we said earlier as well. Just look at your teams, how they look 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the line, what the fixtures are 3 weeks, 4 weeks, which is why we've shared the best fixture list as well,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
plan from there.
Yeah, so I think we've covered everything we can possibly cover, including using a wildcard possibly early after the third or the fourth, game week, right? So what I would like to just add again is, end of the day, trust yourself. We've given you all the information we can. We will be coming up with another episode to give you our final look, team. All this will 90% be it, before the deadline on Saturday. So thank you so much for tuning into our FPL episodes. Hit us up in the comments. Don't forget to hit like on our YouTube videos, subscribe our channel, turn on notifications. Make sure you can follow us on even Twitter, Instagram. We're happy to engage in conversation with you. Do tune in to all our episodes if you can, and we'll see you in the next one, guys.